On December 7th, 1941, the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor with 408 carrier-based aircraft. They launched 220 miles from the shores of Oahu in order to surprise attack Pearl Harbor, in which they succeeded. 2,335 American lives were lost, including 68 civilians. 1,177 of those deaths were from the USS Arizona. The next day, on December 8th, President Roosevelt, along with Congress, declared war on the Empire of Japan. Surprise attack on Pearl Harbor, the Japanese pushed their offensive by taking the island of Wake from U.S. forces. The Japanese also conquered the Philippines. However, General MacArthur was able to return to the U.S. just before the Japanese had invaded the island, due to President Roosevelt's insistence. However, the time for the U.S. to strike back would happen on June 4th, 1942. The Japanese fleet under the command of Admirals Yamato, Nagomu, and Kondo. Their fleet consisting of 4 carriers, 7 battleships, 150 support ships, 248 carrier aircraft, and 15 submarines. This compared to the U.S. fleet under the command of Admiral Nimitz, Fletcher, and Spruance, who had 3 carriers, 50 support ships, 233 carrier aircraft, 127 land aircraft from Midway, and 8 submarines. They were outnumbered nearly 2 to 1. A head-on attack would be impossible. They would have to sneak their carriers into striking distance of Japanese forces. The Battle of Midway would begin at 6 a.m., with Japanese bombers attempting to bomb the island of Midway, many of them getting shot down in the process. 7 a.m., the U.S. began launching aircraft from their carriers towards the Japanese fleet. The first aerial assault on the Japanese fleet has little to no effect, but the second assault manages to cripple all 4 aircraft, sinking 2 of them, and causing the third one to be scuttled the next morning. However, from 12 p.m. to 2:28 p.m., Japanese planes delivered crippling strikes to the Yorktown, causing her to be scuttled the next morning. The Battle of Midway was a decisive victory over the Empire of Japan, with U.S. casualties only reaching up to 307 men, 1 carrier, 1 destroyer, and 145 aircraft, compared to Japanese casualties of 2,500 men, 4 carriers, 1 cruiser, and 292 aircraft. The Battle of Midway destroyed the Japanese offensive and allowed the U.S. to use a tactic known as island hopping until they can get into striking distance of Japan. Island hopping is when we went to island, conquering it until the U.S. forces could either reach the Japanese mainland or get into striking distance of Japan. Island hopping was extremely dangerous due to the U.S. having to do an amphibious assault on an enemy entrenched position, so they suffered many casualties while doing so. As the U.S. forces came closer and closer to the island of Japan, some Japanese pilots began using a tactic known as kamikaze, where they would fly their planes into enemy planes or enemy ships. Once U.S. forces got into striking distance of Japan, they had 2 choices. The first one was an invasion of the mainland, and the second one was the atomic bomb. So they went with option B, the atomic bomb. The first atomic bomb was dropped on August 6, 1945, on the city of Hiroshima. It killed 80,000 people instantly, and 10,000 more would die from radioactive poisoning. Japan was given the opportunity to surrender, but they didn't. And so a second bomb was dropped on the city of Nagasaki on August 9th, killing 40,000 people. August 15th, the Emperor of Japan surrendered. The war was over.